Hey guys, this is Jamie. So I'm back from my holiday visiting relatives in Brazil, and now I'm pretty much done with the pre-recording. So you're pretty much seeing this in real time as close as that is possible. Anyway, so today I want to talk about something that obviously has been discussed in trans men circles for quite a while, and I realize that it disturbs me enough for me to talk about it in a video. So without further ado, I want to talk about leg lengthening surgery. And I'll start off by saying that I am against it. And I do feel like there are certain surgeries that we need to talk as a community and understand that certain things should not be used for certain reasons or should not be even considered. And from the get go, leg lengthening surgery has a lot of complications, has a lot of risks. And sure, you can have certain things like height dysphoria, you can be insecure about your height. There are other, obviously, dysphorias that sometimes make sense, sometimes don't make sense. But obviously, if it so happens that you end up being short or you're shorter than the average height where you live, it isn't the end of the world. And I want to really emphasize that sure, you might think, oh, well, I wish I was a few inches, centimeters taller, but is it really worth going the knife under for? Because specifically, like when I talk to other trans guys, or I see the arguments online, or people talk about it, it really boils down to dudes going down the incel pipeline, the sort of the few millimeters of bone pipeline, which we unfortunately have been seeing online and offline as well. And at the end of the day, people might treat you better technically if you might be a bit more conveniently attractive. But when it comes to certain things, like if you are 3 centimeters taller, that's where it's not exactly the case. And I was talking about this as well, like with my partner. If height is an issue that really, really bothers you, I understand that I am a gay man, so obviously I have different standards of beauty to an extent. And for instance, if let's say I was insecure about my height, I would like wear like golf platform shoes, or I'd wear maybe like a boot with a heel, and there's nothing wrong with that because there's really cool boots out there. There's also like cool Converse, cool sneakers. Also, there's certain things like my partner mentioned. You can buy soles for your shoes, and there are also different shoes which sort of conceal the fact that they will be a bit higher and they just look like normal shoes. There's plenty of stuff like that online. So while I do understand that, like, okay, you might be insecure, I don't see anything wrong with like buying certain shoes for you to feel taller. If that works for you, there's nothing wrong with that. That is a problem which apparently, a certain man might have. And to do it in a certain way, like obviously some people feel more comfortable in certain footwear, some people feel more comfortable in certain makeup and certain clothing and certain mannerisms. So there is nothing wrong with factually deciding to buy specific footwear for that. And I feel like that is a very reasonable thing to do if you are insecure about your height. Now, when it comes to surgery, I do feel like it's becoming a bit extreme. And I have spoken about this in the past. I am very concerned with the measures that the trans community goes into. For instance, I do understand that some people might feel more comfortable from different facial procedures, which are usually not covered and are not covered specifically like for trans men. And I myself are not that much into like facial masculinization surgery. Um, like I believe that he does the most work you'll ever need, and there's also patience. But there are certain things like surgeries that do need to be covered and that sort of fall into the facts that we as trans men need to have those surgeries covered, like top surgery, bottom surgery, certain things when it comes to hysterectomy and removing ovaries and stuff like that. And obviously, corresponding to trans women as well, but I'm talking about trans men right now. But the thing is, when it comes to leg lengthening surgery, this is where it becomes such a very specific audience, and not everyone needs it, not everyone falls into it. And the problem is that people read these incel rhetorics, which are wrapped in a trans bow, and trans men fall for them. They think, okay, people aren't dating me because I'm a trans guy. And then they start thinking, okay, maybe it's not because the person's transphobic, but because if I was like 5 centimeters taller, then people would date me. But that's not the case. People aren't just dating you because either they're too shallow or you're too shallow, factually. Like, I'm sorry for being very brutal about it, but if you're a decent person and you put yourself out there, it's not the heights that will determine if you find someone. It's about how you present yourself, what you have to offer, and what you are as a person. Like, if someone is gonna date you just because you're 5 centimeters taller, maybe you shouldn't be dating that person at all. Or if someone will date you for, or you want someone to date you for that, then maybe something is wrong with you on the inside as well. I'm sorry, I'm really wording it really harshly, and I do understand that, but I feel like we live on this earth for a certain amount of time, and wouldn't you want someone who loves you for who you are and what you can share with? Like, you're sharing your life for a certain part, I guess, if you're just looking for someone temporary with a person. So why wouldn't you want that person to understand you completely? And if a person would leave you over a few centimeters, then why are you with that person? And is height the only thing you'll even be talking to about that person? So there are many things that I don't understand this insult rhetoric, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to have a conversation and sort of share time with your partner. And height just does not fall into that. So the question is, why would you do that? Why would you go to a risky, unapproved, weird procedure just because you feel like that would make you more attractive or you'd win the lottery of life, which just goes into a very bizarre white supremacist pipeline? And this is where we need to understand that sort of like, to be men, we do not need to go the same rough standards that some incels are parroting online, you know? That's pretty much what I wanted to focus on today. And we need to understand that certain standards are being pushed up onto us because the internet is becoming a very sort of rigid, conservative, incel ridden place at times. And we need to stand up to that and say, hey, this is not okay. So this is me saying, hey, this is not okay to leg lengthening surgery. Like, I'm average height and I never had any issues. I mean, I don't know. Maybe someone ever called me short. I don't know. I always was average. I was tall as a kid, then I was just average, so I don't know. So this is very bizarre for me to think about. So I do understand that maybe I don't understand the struggle as well as much as I could. And also in Portugal, people are rather shorter than average. So I'm more in the taller side. I don't know. I don't think about these things that much. But yeah, I feel like, and if it's something that bothers you, improve yourself in other ways. And if there are other surgeries that you might consider more, or you should think about or work towards, rather than something that is not necessary. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. I'm sorry, I know it's a controversial topic, and I'm sorry, I know a lot of guys wish they could do it, but yeah, I'm highly against it. So yeah. Um, that's pretty much what I wanted to say on the topic. So thank you very much for watching. I'm back. Everyone have a nice end of the year. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like. Um, Feel free to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to comment. If you disagree or agree, feel free to fight each other in the comments. And send this to someone who would get pissed probably or not would appreciate this video. Thank you very much.